Yeah. So the raffle, yes, full disclosure, it is a blatant plug to get you to stay on for the full thing. So we'll do it at the end, but it'll be fun. So I hope everybody does stay for that. So I'm going to share my screen because we're going to start with a, let me see if I can share here. Okay. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep. Looks good. You're going to put it in presentation mode?
I am. How does that look?
Wonderful.
Okay, so let's do this. So I'm really excited about this presentation. I'm always excited about presentations to you guys, but this time in particular, because this is our big push. And you'll see what I mean as I go through, but we've been working since 2013 to bring this program that we're doing right now between now and August to fruition. And it's very exciting that it's really starting to come to fruition. And so so just bear with me if you know, I always get excited. I am excitable, but this is a really, really special special time right now. So let's see if we can make it go. There we go. So I always think it's important to start with the why, right? I don't know, can you guys see, is the image, is the picture of us kind of covering the screen, Patrick, or can you see that it doesn't? Okay, good.
You're all good.
So public health in melanoma prevention, why? Why is it important? Well, the first thing is that in Oregon, believe it or not, I think anybody on this program probably knows that the rates of melanoma in Oregon are high. I'm going to show you that in just a little bit here. When I came here in 2013, we were at number 3 in the country. And I'll show you some really interesting things, but right now we're down to 10, but we're still in the top 10 in the whole country in melanoma rates. So it's a reasonable state for us to be doing a model for early detection. The second thing is that melanoma is one of the only cancers that you can see without any specialized equipment. You don't need a colonoscopy, you don't need a mammogram, you can see it on the surface of your skin. And so that gives us hope that by educating people to look at their skin and to do something if they see something, that it may work. But here's the interesting thing, is that believe it or not, no matter how long we've been telling everybody to look at your skin and to do all of that, there is no direct evidence that melanoma early detection leads to improved survival, better prognosis, decreased cost, greater knowledge, or increased or improved self-skin examination, because nobody's ever measured it. We're the first, okay? So here's where it started. This is sort of our history. This is our historical slide here. And back in 2013, that was when the Night Cancer Challenge on early detection was started, and they recruited me to come here to think about how to develop an early detection program in melanoma, right? And so I knew to begin with that we were gonna have to do something pretty spectacular to really meet that challenge. So between 2014 and 2015, we developed a registry, which a lot of you get emails from. That's our Melanoma Research Registry. We developed a Mole Mapper, which is an app on iPhone that allows you to track your own moles and make sure they're not turning into melanoma at home. We integrated with the Oregon derm community, and we did screenings, and we started doing awareness events just like this, but they were in person. In 2016 through 2018, we developed the Federated States, which was to try to get people outside of the state of Oregon aware so that as we progressed, we would be able to really disseminate it across the country. We started our e-visit program. I don't know what that is. Started our e-visit program, our rural health outreach program that we started. We started to develop curriculum, really curriculum that people could really learn about melanoma at the layperson, the PCP, and the expert level. And we started to go on CME roadshows, continuing medical education roadshows. I went to basically every larger town in Oregon to tell them about melanoma and the program we were developing, and we partnered with the School of Public Health. And then in 2019, we started our early detection public health campaign. We did a pilot program, but then guess what? COVID hit. So we were about to launch our program, and we couldn't because of COVID. But what we did instead is we started analyzing all the data to get ready for when we could start it, when we could go back and really do the campaign. And so that is now, by the way. That is what we're doing right now. That's what we're in the middle of. That's what we've been waiting for over 2 years to be able to do. So this, as a teaser, I want to say right up front, I can't say, I don't have the data to prove that this is because of what we've been doing or not. But I do want to point out that there's been, this graph shows the change in melanoma incidence between the time period of 2013 and 2017. That was the latest date that they had available. Because it takes a while to enter the data into this program, which is the national database called SEER. And when you look at this, I think you can see at 0, the 0 line would mean that there would be no change at all in the number of melanomas, the rate of melanoma in the state, number per capita. And this has all of the different states in the country listed here. And here's the U.S. right here. It's an increase across the U.S. But what we can see is that at the very far end, the most negative, the most improvement of any state in the country is Oregon. And the second most improved state is Pennsylvania, where they also have an early detection program. So even though I can't say why, and I don't know exactly what has happened here, we have made a huge difference already in our ability to reduce the number of melanomas in the state. And as I mentioned, we went from 3rd to 10th. So what is the War on Melanoma? It's a statewide melanoma education experiment, is what it really is. So like every good experiment, it has a hypothesis, and our hypothesis is that if we do a broad statewide education program that teaches lay people and teaches providers and teaches everyone in the state that we can reach how to detect melanoma earlier, then it's going to reduce death and costs. And of course, what we're going to measure is the death and the number of melanomas, kind of like what I just showed you from our cancer registry, and we're going to measure the costs that result from that. Okay, and how are we going to do it? It's a 5-year experiment. You start with baseline so that you know what the baseline deaths and costs are, and then you intervene with this educational campaign that we're in the middle of, and then you repeat the death and the cost, and you compare the two, and you see, did you make a difference, right? And we can talk more about that if you want in a little bit later. I'm not going to deal a lot with the experiment, but I'm going to talk now a little bit about who we're involving, because the bottom line is that we want to get objective, quantitative, and qualitative and subjective data on everyone that we're trying to reach. So who is the everyone? Well, first, it's the lay population. They have the lowest risk overall of getting a melanoma, and they're the least interested. So in some ways, they're the hardest to reach. And within the lay population, we have the skin service industry, right? So these are professionals that are licensed, right? And we'll talk more about those. They're the people that have, you know, hairdressers and massage therapists and tattoo artists and electrologists and people like that. We also want to reach the primary care providers. They have a lot more training than the lay public, less training than dermatologists, but they're a lot less time in their practice to be able to devote. We want to get to all of the dermatologists and try to increase access as much as we can. And we want to have the specialists involved too, the people who are ultra specialized in order to really help people who have very high risk. So the idea is that our campaign, our outreach, our educational outreach is going to educate lay people, patients, and providers to reach individuals from every single one of these categories. So now I'm going to review with you quickly, right before I start to introduce our other speakers, what are all of the components of our program? And I'm not going to speak in great detail about all of them because I want you guys to sort of hear it from the people who are doing a lot of the work. But I want you to be aware of all of the different aspects of this outreach that we're trying to accomplish, because it's a pretty impressive amount, and I think that you guys are going to be proud of the work that OHSU is doing on the state's behalf on this. So for the lay community, what are we doing? We've got a mass media campaign and a social media campaign. We've got a patient registry that a lot of you are a member of. We have community outreach and engagement studios that we've done. We've actually gone out into the community and solicited opinion back to design our program through that. We've got a high school program that allows us to reach out to high school students before it's too late to get their habits developed. We have licensed skin services that we've reached out through the Oregon Health Authority. We've got the Skinny on Skin program, which is a curriculum that we're doing in partnership with Impact Melanoma. We have the Mole Mapper app that I told you about. That's a tracking app that you guys can use at home on your iPhone. We've got skin cancer screenings that we do periodically across the state. We've reached out specifically to the Indian Health Service to try to not only do screenings, but hopefully education of their high schools as well. And then where do we go with the PCPs? Because we also want to reach the PCPs. We have reached through the Oregon Health Authority and the Oregon Medical Board to reach our PCPs. We've done a full identification curriculum to teach PCPs what a melanoma looks like and what it doesn't look like. We've developed a PCP education toolkit that allows them to pick and choose what kind of learning they want to do about melanoma. We've got demos, videos that teach them how to do a good skin screening. We've got that CME Roadshow that I told you about. We've got another video that shows the PCPs how to do a really good biopsy for melanoma. We've got another sort of set of tools for the electronic medical record, the EMR, and that's for a risk factor intake to know whether or not a patient in their practice needs to have a skin exam. We've developed e-consult so that if they get a really difficult patient, they can contact us directly and get a consult on the spot. We've got patient education materials so that we can provide that to them that they can then provide to their patients without having to create them themselves. We also have smart phrases for the electronic medical record that allows them to do a good skin exam and to be able to successfully bill for the work that they're doing. We also have work with the general dermatologist and the expert dermatologist. So we're working with dermoscopy, we're working with the Oregon Derm Society, we're doing e-visits to help patients directly. We've got a home dermoscopy program where we can send a dermatoscope it's called a SCLIP to everyone and let them do a better picture for us for the e-visits. We have virtual visits and e-consults. And then for the really, really high-risk people in our Imaging and Technology Center, we have genetic testing, total body imaging, serial digital dermoscopy, reflectance confocal microscopy, gene expression profiling, optical coherence tomography, and more, right? So now, where are we? We're doing this campaign, and hot off the press, right? I hope that some of you may have seen some of these things. We've got billboards, and we've got a bus wrap thing that is basically this thing, melanoma stands out. So start looking, look for that one that looks different. We've got this is a flyer that you can just scan the QR code at the bottom. And we have Instagram, and we have Facebook, and we have YouTube. We have a little YouTube video. And I hope that all of you find one of those. I like the YouTube video because I got to do the voiceover. I love that. So listen to the YouTube video for me. And then everything is driven to our unbranded website. Again, we did this as an unbranded activity because we want to cooperate and collaborate with everyone without them thinking for 1 second that we're trying to get patients to come to OHSU. It's not about that. It's about looking at your skin, and if you see something, find out if it's cancer. Right, and so this website sort of tells you how to do that, how to do the skin exam, what you're looking for on the skin exam, and what do you do if you find it, if you find something. So now I'm going to start by stopping my talk And we're going to go on to the first group. We're going to talk about what we're doing. So as we go through the rest of this symposium that we're doing, we're going to break this down into some of these areas so that you can see better examples of each of the things that we're doing in each of those areas. And we're going to start with mass media and with social media. And with that, I'm going to introduce two of the people who have been leading this effort. All right, one is Autumn Schaefer. And Autumn Schaefer is amazing. She is an associate professor of journalism and communication at the University of Oregon, who does a lot of the social media and understanding mass media for health promotions at the University of Oregon down in Eugene. And she's been an incredible partner with us. And I'm also going to introduce Nadia Popovici. Is that how am I saying it right, Nadia?
It's Popovic, but everyone has their own version. I'll accept anything.
Nadia Popovic. And I want everybody to think about, if you saw back a few months ago, there was a young woman, a pre-med student, who was in a hockey game that she noticed from her seats in the stand a melanoma on the back of one of the staff members for the hockey team. And she called it to his attention, and it was a melanoma. And, you know, that truly was probably life-saving because nobody else had mentioned it to him. And so I want to introduce her as someone that we've brought on as a research fellow that we're very excited to try to help learn from her how to get a lot of this social media done. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to turn it over to Nadia and Autumn to do their little presentation and then open it for questions for this segment of the War on Melanoma.
Thank you so much, Sancy. Nadia and I are so excited to talk with all of you. We're going to be focusing on social media education and engagement. And just to introduce ourselves, I'm Autumn Schaefer, as Dr. Leachman said, and all of my work is in health promotion, and I do a lot of that work on social media. And I think I've been connected with you all since about 2019, if I'm remembering right. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Autumn. Thank you, Dr. Leachman. Again, my name is Nadia. I am the girl from the hockey mole story, and I am now a skin cancer research fellow working in the Department of Dermatology, and it's been an incredible experience, and I am so happy to be working with Autumn here today to present you how we are trying to engage Oregonians in our social media efforts and hopefully make it fun and they can learn a little bit of something along the way.
Before we get into some of the ways that we're reaching people, we wanted to talk about the goals in our communication efforts. So building up to this, there was a survey, and there's also been a number of psychology-focused experiments and work to try to figure out, what do people know about melanoma? What stops them from checking their skin? What would motivate them to check their skin? And from all of that work over the last few years, we came to understand our three main goals when we're communicating with the lay public is to help Oregonians recognize melanoma. So a lot of our social media shows people what actual melanomas look like, which can be really diverse. And so we're putting a lot of images of melanoma in front of people and helping them to understand what might be and what might not be melanoma, which should help them with our second goal, which is building confidence that they can do the skin checks. So one of the major barriers that we found over the last few years is that people just don't think they can do it. Like, they don't know what to look for, they don't know how to look. And so we do a lot of education with building their confidence that you can do it. It's easy. The website has a lot of those resources as well. So we do focus on just helping people to feel confident that they can do these skin checks themselves. And then the third one is what you see a lot of the Melanoma Stands Out ads focusing on, which is fostering beliefs that early detection is really important. So in the YouTube video with Sancy's voiceover, for instance, she talks about some of the differences between catching something early versus catching something late, and how important it is to try to detect melanoma early on. And those are the three main goals that most of our social media is trying to help foster among the lay public. This ad that you see here was actually a post and is one of our most shared, I think when I screenshotted it was 252, but I think it's closer to 300 shares now. And people seem really curious and happy to receive this type of educational content, helping them to figure out what to look for. And Nadia is going to talk a little bit more about some of the strategies we use to engage with people.
Yeah, so we had opened up 2 Facebook pages, 2 Instagram pages, and 1 TikTok page spread across these various platforms, because our goal was to really try and have a mix of rural and urban targeting. So various social media platforms may be more beneficial to certain age groups or to people from certain locations. Additionally, we also had a kind of 50-50 split between paid social media marketing, which would mean that these platforms themselves, we would pay for them to show our post or our video on people's timelines so that they are fed this information in kind of an organic way. And the other kind of other split between this is to engage people in a non-paid, completely organic way, which would just mean that we would try our best to make engaging, fun content so that people are willing to share it themselves, willing to send it to family members, kind of find it themselves through word of mouth and through the algorithm naturally instead of through a paid front. So you can see on our slides here are a couple of examples of some of our posts on Instagram and TikTok. We would love for you, if you have your phones, to go ahead and pull them out and follow us or take a look at some of the videos after this presentation. But that's kind of the way that we've been engaging the general public now. And we have a couple of results on the next slide. Oh, okay, yeah. So for the first 6 weeks of our social media platforms, as you can see, we had about 407,000 people see this on Facebook, 93,000 on Instagram, 11,000 on TikTok. We also had a big plethora of likes, about 7,000 across our social media platforms. Almost 600 people shared this post just on their own accord, so they found it engaging enough to share with their user base and their friends and family. 150 comments, which you can see kind of demonstrated here in these 2 comments from Facebook and TikTok. People are realizing the importance of our messaging and checking their own skin and going that extra step to schedule a doctor's appointment or to reach out to their friend who has a concerning mole. People are really engaging. And then, as you can see, 20,000 people went to our website, in which there was a split. 75% of those people were from Oregon, with 32% from Portland. So as you can see, we are really targeting the state, but it's not just this main city hub. We are pretty spread across the state, which Autumn can speak to next.
Yeah, so all those polka dots that you see in that kind of yellow and teal map, those are website hits and where they're coming from. So you can see there's a really nice distribution throughout the state. And I did want to draw on something Nadia was talking about on the previous slide, which is the work that we're doing on social media is a mix of paid. So we have a lot of those, say, Melanoma Stands Out ads that have the spots, and those are performing extremely well. About 5% of people who see one of those ads clicks on to go to the website, which in social media, we would expect that to be about 1.5%. Anything between 2 and 5% is considered good to excellent, and we're on the high end of that and towards the excellent. So those ads are doing a great job of driving a significant amount of people to the website, where there's a lot of educational materials and resources. And then a lot of what Nadia and I do day to day is focusing on the other 95%, the people who don't click on, but who we can speak to on the social media platform itself. So we've created a lot of other posts and videos that educate you right there on the platform without even having to click. We do a lot of targeting to try to make sure that we're getting a wide swath of Oregon. And that is it. Like us, follow us, share. There's a newsletter, email content if you're interested in being contacted, that I think Nadia is working on. We have some hashtags, and we'd love to see you visit us. And happy to take some questions. Nadia, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone who has a big platform, so if you're the head of an organization, or you are in charge of a lot of employees, or you have a lot of customers, we would love to hear from you. We have a bunch of materials that we would be honored for you to send out and farther spread this message. Additionally, if you are or know anyone who is a skin aware professional, so someone like a massage therapist, a tattoo artist, anyone like that, if you want to go ahead and follow that link down on the bottom right, the startseeingmelanoma.com/skin crew. We would love for them to join the skin crew and become educated on how to spot melanoma in their clients, and hopefully farther participate in some of this really amazing work that Dr. Leachman has initiated. Thank you so much. We would love to take questions.
So I think we're trying to keep things moving time-wise. There's one question that I think in particular, I think would be really helpful that was submitted beforehand. It's just, can you give us just the quickest and briefest sort of overview on how any individual would create a social media or share a social media post for the campaign?
Sure. Yeah, Autumn, do you want to speak?
Yeah. So if you are a skin aware professional, then you might consider doing something with the hashtag Skin Crew. So you could take a photo, just mention your own melanoma journey or your interest in learning more, and just tag it with the hashtag Skin Crew. If you're just another, not necessarily a skin aware professional, you can tag it with hashtag Start Seeing Melanoma. You can actually go onto our website and copy some of the language and use that yourself. You can also go to the websites or to the social sites that we listed and just click the share button and share to your network. Any of our posts, would be great.
Perfect. I do see a hand up really quickly from Kat. If you do have a question to ask, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. We'll give you a little bit of time. I'm not sure if that hand was on purpose or not. If anyone has a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and hop in with your question. We'll take one more.
Don't be shy now. Who had the question?
I have a question. I am in the pool 5 days a week with a whole population, 35 people, who are roughly over the age of 65. We are in swimming suits and trunks. How do we get either the lifeguard or each other to pay attention to each other's backs or fronts or whatever if we see something unusual? What can I do to get their attention?
Sure. Yeah. Well, just the fact that you've thought about this community that you have is very impactful. The first step is to become educated yourself and try to rally as many people in your network to learn about the ABCDEs of melanoma as possible. So if you have a team group chat, if you have an email that sends out to everyone who's interested in participating or everyone in your group. That could be one way for you to spread that content. Additionally, if you know the lifeguard, you could just have that personal conversation with them. We would love to get in contact with them with the Skin Crew so that we can actually provide like a little Sclip device, which is a dermoscopy tool for him to use, him or her. And so, honestly, it's just a lot of word of mouth, rallying your social media, rallying your friends and family. And from then on, we'd be happy to help in any way. So go ahead and contact us. We're very responsive on all of those platforms. So if you have a certain idea, we would love to hear for it, or we can talk additionally.
Yeah, and I think don't underestimate the power of actually working through with those people. You have amazing powers of influence over people just by bringing it up, just by speaking it out loud, just by making it acceptable to talk about it and to say, look, we're going to look each other over. People are shy, but this can be life-saving, really, really. So it's a great idea, and I hope you do it. I just want to thank Autumn and Nadia, and let's go to the next presentation. So the next one, we're going to talk a little bit about one of our programs that the medical students have done. So we have some medical students at OHSU that are really interested in becoming dermatologists someday. And so they're very interested in doing derm-relevant projects. And so I'm going to introduce, it looks like Gina already started sharing. I was going to introduce Jonathan and Gina, who are two medical students who are a part of that program. And they'll tell you a little bit about, about how they've created this program to reach high school students when they're probably going to be more receptive to hearing about prevention of melanoma. So take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Leachman. We're going to talk about, Jonathan and I are going to talk about the high school education campaign and exactly what that involves. So just to get started. So who we are. So while only Jonathan and I are currently here at this meeting, this project involves so many people. We really couldn't do it without faculty and resident advisors, as you can see here, the many people who have helped us on this project. One of the original members, Victoria Orfali, who is now a dermatology resident, starting residency this upcoming July, who this project was her sort of brainchild and instrumental in getting this all set up. And then you can see the different teams that we have. So we have multiple teams. We have leadership, we have marketing, data management, curriculum development, and school communication, and allied pre-health. And we're going to go through all of this, as well as some Native American outreach. So all of these are mostly students, medical students who are running the program and communicating with high schools to try to get a curriculum out. And here you can see a picture of some, but not all of us who are working on the project or have worked on the project in the past. So why do we want to get this curriculum? So it's a high school curriculum that is designed to inform students about skin cancer in general, melanoma in particular, and then also teach them how to do self-skin exams, the importance of early detection, and getting their friends and family involved. Currently, there's no formal statewide education program for early detection and prevention of melanoma or other skin cancers. This is not something that's widely implemented in schools. Oregon is consistently top 10 for melanoma incidence, and a high school program doesn't just reach high schoolers, it also reaches parents, families, teachers, basically anyone else that has asked a student, how was your day today? And they could say, oh, we did this really interesting curriculum. And we also know that this evidence-based curriculums do have a tendency to predict positive behavior change. So changes like sun safety, changes like not tanning and wearing sunscreen, and just having that knowledge is a powerful tool for high school students. And it can kind of not only set the stage for the younger generation, but also sort of spread out into everyone in the community. And so the program is based on some evidence-based principles that involve interactive activities. We have a mole sorting activity where they look at the mole and say, is this concerning or not concerning? And would you want to see a provider, anyone, even a PCP or a dermatologist, depending on who you have access to. So we won't want to have students not have, whether or not they have access to a dermatologist, anyone that they have a provider or have a relationship with that's a physician or other provider is someone they can go to. And then we also have a gallery walk, which just kind of helps initiate discussion between students on how they're going to go through and how safe is it to go to the beach without sunscreen on, those kind of things. And so we like to have this curriculum that is only an hour long. So it's a 50-minute curriculum, and it's really designed to just efficiently get the information to students and to also have a really big part of their day where they're a really big impact on them so that they know about melanoma and skin cancer. So our objectives are to explain the causes of skin cancer and to assess the efficacy of skin protection. We evaluate personal risk factors, we look at at-risk moles, and convey the importance of early detection. And they even create an action plan, which you can see over here, with their goals and ideas about not tanning, self-skin exams, and wearing protective clothing. So all of this together is something that we have designed to help inform high school students. And Jonathan's going to be talking a little bit about the progress we've made. And we actually do a pre and a post survey. And so he's going to discuss that a little bit more.
Hi, thank you, Gina. So the pre and post survey is for before and after the students undergo the curriculum. So we have them take a test before they learn about melanoma in the curriculum. And we see that on the left-hand side on that graph, you can see that the pre-testing shows about 75% correct answers. And then after they go through the curriculum and learn more, we test them again, and we see that that has improved, that their knowledge about melanoma improves to about 84%, and that's on the post side. And then there's more specific questions that we dove into, such as like their use, like their personal belief of their use of tanning beds. Like, are they likely to use a tanning bed? And you can see that the post surveys show that they're less likely to use them. And for like wearing sunscreen post after this, they're more likely to wear sunscreen. And all these behavioral changes that we can see are showing that after this curriculum that it is changing the students' beliefs about their behaviors moving forward. Can I get the next slide, please? And then this graph is really interesting. It breaks Oregon down by county and shows where we've been able to reach and deliver our programs to. And the number is how many students in that county received this program. And I think this is a really important graphic to show that we also need assistance reaching the schools in rural areas, because as you can see, the rural counties don't have any programs delivered at the time of this graph. And we also have to remember that like rural counties and rural populations are more at risk for sun exposure due to their occupations. And so being able to deliver those programs, the curriculum to those counties is one of the goals that we're working on right now. So how to participate in this program or what we can do moving forward. So if you want to contact your local high school and ask them to include the curriculum, we do our best to reach out to the high schools, but sometimes our emails get lost or it's just not the right time. But if they get more community support and encouragement to pursue this, they might be able to reach out themselves to ask for the curriculum from us. And then we can also help with distributing posters and increasing awareness of melanoma. If the schools are open to it, we can put posters up about the Start Seeing Melanoma and how to get involved or with the social media that was mentioned before. And then you can always help by recruiting students. If you know students who are interested at the undergraduate level, or because we always could use the extra support from future med students or current med students. So just getting the word out and increasing the awareness helps our campaign a lot. All right, so do we have any questions? I see a question in the chat about Vicky asks, who should I send her to make contact? I'm gonna put my email in here and in the chat, and so she can reach out to us, and then we'll reach back out to her and include like the principal or the health teachers to make sure that we can deliver the curriculum. Do you have any curriculum specific to detecting skin cancer and skin of color? Yes, that's an excellent question. Thank you. We've been recently revising the photos that are in the gallery walk. And as Gina says, we have aspects of that in our current curriculum. So we've included diverse skin tones to show different images of how melanoma looks on different skin tones. Thank you. Great question.
Sancy, I think we're gonna keep it moving here. Amazing talk. Really appreciate all of the amazing work you guys are doing.
It's great. Everybody's so excited. I think we're all going a little over, including me. But what I'd like to go next to is to the PCP curriculum. What are we doing to help educate the PCPs? And I'm going to turn it over to Alex Verdiak, who is one of our family medicine assistant professors in family medicine, and also maybe complemented by Elizabeth Berry and Elizabeth Stews, amazing members of the Derm department and leaders in this area. So I'm going to just stop sharing now and turn it over to them to go through their work that they've been doing. Alex, are you there?
Yes, great. Am I sharing slides?
Yes, please do.
Let me.
You can't pull them up, I can.
Is that okay,
there.
Liz and Liz?
Looks great, Alex.
It's good.
Great. Let me, how about I do that? And you guys can still see.
Yeah, it's in presenter view, so you might want to switch
which
screen.
I'm switching slides is what you're saying? Or
No,
switch to a different view?
you're showing us your view rather than the PowerPoint slideshow view. So it needs to be flipped to the display.
Is that better? Or is it
You
not?
might want to click it one more time. I saw you were in the right place. There it is.
There you go.
Beautiful.
There you go. Perfect.
Sorry, I have.
So it's exciting to have these doctors from primary care interested. So go, Alex. This is great.
Great. So I'm Alex Verdiak. I'm a family medicine physician at OHSU and do a lot of residency teaching and have a special interest in dermatology. So a few years ago, met with Liz Berry and Liz Stews and really kind of started to think about how we can teach primary care docs and family docs to do more recognition of skin cancer and to do more biopsying and asking questions and hopefully advance their skills in detecting. And I think the why we've discussed before is that, in terms of Oregon, many Oregonians live in areas where they don't have quick access to dermatologists. That can be either in areas that are populated, such as the Portland metro area, or it can be in more rural counties. And so family docs are, doing a lot of kind of the first screen if they are looking. In many of our visits, our patients will ask us, hey, I have this mole. And then we also can provide full skin exams during physical exams too. In our training for family medicine residents, residents get 1 month of specific dermatology training. They get some other training throughout their patient visits during their 3 years of residency. And then they get some procedural training, but it's not necessarily a lot. So that's why we want to do some enhanced training. I think Liz Berry, were you going to take over for this one?
I can take it from here. So I know we've got a couple of comments in the chat that y'all are having trouble hearing us. So if you need us to speak louder, let us know. But basically, the concept behind this, like Alex was saying, is that, primary care doctors should be able to find these skin cancers, and often they're the first line of defense. And so Liz Stews and Dr. Verdiak and Dr. Leachman and I have worked on putting together this primary care toolkit that basically meets primary care doctors where they are and sort of gives them the tools to, understand how to do biopsies, understand which lesions are a problem and how to recognize them. And we've been pushing out this online toolkit that Liz Stews put together for us and advertising it through Grand Rounds, which are kind of a monthly meeting of all of the primary care doctor specialists, or weekly. And then Dr. Witkowski, who was on one of the first slides, has come up with a dermoscopy education webinar. I'll talk a little bit about what dermoscopy is in my next talk. But there's a webinar for primary care doctors who want additional special training in this. And then because of all of this work, we've gotten a small grant to see actually how this works real world. And so I'll talk about that in a second. Next slide, please. So basically, we have reached over 700 medical providers throughout the state of Oregon with this curriculum. Over 718 people have access to the online toolkit, which is pretty incredible. And then because of all of this hard work, there's a center at OHSU called Bridge C2, and it's a group of primary care doctors. They've given us a grant to study how this influences and allows us to detect more skin cancers in the primary care setting. And so we'll be starting a study in several primary care clinic settings this fall. Next slide. This is a paper that our group just put together, and it's the first War on Melanoma publication. And this basically shows that the primary care toolkit that we put together actually works. And it's increased not only knowledge, but also confidence for primary care doctors being able to diagnose melanomas and skin cancers early. Next slide. This is the team that put it together. Next slide. And so how to participate, it's really just spreading the word, making sure that when you go to see your primary care doctor, that they're aware that this resource is out there. Again, we'll direct you back to the War on Melanoma website that has a landing page, or the Start Seeing Melanoma page that has a landing page that sort of meets everybody where they are. And there's a specific section for medical professionals, and that's where this primary care doctor or primary care provider training exists. Next slide. And I think that's it. With that, we'll take any questions.
We do have one submitted question on this topic. It does, I think you may have touched on it briefly, but it says, do primary or family doctors all do skin exams, or how can you encourage or get a skin exam at a non-dermatology provider?
So I think, I don't think it's standard now that everyone automatically does skin exams. Many doctors do incorporate it into their physical exam by having patients get undressed. But I think as a patient, it's certainly ask. I'd like to have my skin examined. I'd like to show you some things. Can you look at my back? And they will do the skin exam. And if they are concerned about what they see, they can refer you on. They can biopsy. So just asking.
Yeah, and the model that we're moving on is in Australia, which has the biggest skin cancer population or skin cancer rates in the world. The primary care doctors there diagnose the vast majority of the skin cancers. So, I mean, it's possible in the primary care setting. It's just not been traditional for US primary care doctors. And so that's part of this education campaign is, if you can read a chest x-ray, or if you can read an EKG, or any of these visual diagnosis things that they already do, diagnosing things on the skin is a similar skill set.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one. I think we're running a little bit late, so I'm going to ask our speakers to try to cut it in half. See if you can get through the same material in half the time. And I'm going to ask the skin crew. You've already heard a little bit about the skin crew. And so we'll have the director of our program, Kristen Kalin, and also Nadine Stanton, who's going to talk to us.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Kristen Kalin. I'm the one waving, and Nadine is across the table. Go to this one. So the skin crew. What is the skin crew? It started with the challenge. There are only 235 dermatologists in the entire state of Oregon. However, there are close to 50,000 licensed professionals who work in the areas that you see listed here: estheticians, massage therapists, hairstylists, and barbers, etc. The ratio of dermatologists to these people is 1 to 200. So we got to thinking, these people see skin up close every single day. They're at work. What if they were trained to identify suspicious moles? And what if they knew how to communicate this with confidence and with care? So that led to the skin crew. So we created a plan to educate and activate these professionals. And we came up with a tagline of our own: what you see could save a life. So we started building the Skin Crew Foundation. We created a website, lots of different materials. We set up social media, as Nadia and Autumn talked about. We launched our outreach campaign about 6 weeks ago with posts, social media, lots of emails, engaged with businesses, lots of schools, massage schools, cosmetology schools, tattoo schools. And so far, our results look like this. We have over 700 individual members, over 60 businesses and schools involved, and 150 Instagram followers. So what can you do to support the Skin Crew? What you see here on the slide is an example of our postcards. We'd love for you to hand out your postcards, our postcards, to your barber, to your hairstylist, to your massage therapist. You are welcome to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and share the information with everybody you know. So thank you.
That was perfect. Questions?
Speed.
We do have a submitted question, and I think it'd be awesome for Nadine in particular. It sort of says, I think a lot of professionals in this sort of this group we call Skin Art professionals might have some initial hesitations of scope in terms of trying to do something that's a little bit more outside of their practice. So I guess what would you say to professionals that don't think this is really related or in scope for the type of professional work that they do?
Right. It isn't within our scope of practice, for sure. I used to be a massage therapist. I'm a hairdresser, 20 years behind the chair. I've also had skin cancer myself, basal and squamous. But this platform that OHSU has given the people in my industry is credibility and a great platform that we can hit up all of our clients with. All of us have seen skin cancer before. Most every hairdresser I know and barber and massage therapist has sent someone to their doctor with something that looked kind of weird. And a lot of times doctors would say, oh, it's your barber, it's your hairdresser, who cares? But now they're starting to care. And as soon as I say OHSU, to name drop works every time. What this education program does for people in my profession, and then as that ripples out, is it gives us a very succinct way to talk about skin cancer. We're not going to be looking at parts of the body that we aren't going to see. I'm only going to see head, neck, ears, maybe some hands and forearms. Different professions are going to see more skin. So while it isn't in our scope of practice, and we are very specific about that when we talk to our clients, what we do is we get people, we get the fire underneath them to go and have these things checked out. And I am so grateful to OHSU and all the support people to give us this educational tool. And that's it.
Yeah, and we're very careful to make sure that they don't exceed the scope of practice through our training, right?
Absolutely.
So let's go to our next one. I think Liz Berry, do you want to quickly run us through the last thing about just really quickly, because we also have the patient advocacy. So maybe if you can share really quickly your screen to just quickly explain about the imaging center. And
yeah, so I am gonna share my screen and give you like the most whirlwind sprint tour of kind of the revolutionary stuff that we've got going on here, and we could spend an entire hour on it, but we're gonna get it in 3 minutes. I apologize, it's a lot of slides and I'm going to skip some of the content. So this is our part of our melanoma team. You met me. I'm one of the dermatologists situated in our multidisciplinary clinic. Dr. Ludzig and Dr. Witkowski couldn't be here today because they're both in clinic this afternoon, but they're the co-directors of our imaging center. So this is our, an old picture of our melanoma multidisciplinary team. We are a group of physicians who all treat melanoma, and this includes surgical oncologists and medical oncologists and radiation oncologists and dermatologists and pathologists. And so we're treating skin cancer from every facet of the disease. We also have this amazing technology center because one of our particular passions here at OHSU is only doing biopsies and invasive things when, you know, a mole is demonstrating change or we're truly worried about something. And so we have a lot of different technology that's illustrated here, from dermoscopy, which is sort of a closer up ability to sort of look through the top layer of the skin with an easy device that uses polarized light and a magnifying glass. Dr. Witkowski and Dr. Ludzig have created something that's very cheap that attaches to a smartphone device. This is called a SCLIP. And this is something that, you know, if you're worried about something, there's a loaner program for you to obtain one of these to use and send images to your provider. Dr. Witkowski and Dr. Ludzig use these non-invasive sticker biopsies that look at the genes that are turned on in a mole to see if it's becoming cancerous or not. And then they use something called confocal microscopy, which is like a non-invasive laser-based technique that basically allows for a virtual biopsy. And I'll show you some images of that. And then we do full body photography too. And so basically, you know, this is the rationale behind dermoscopy. This is what something looks like from far away. This is what it looks like under polarized light with a magnifying glass. You can tell this is a melanoma, whereas this, you know, might just be sort of an atypical mole. So this gives us a ton more information and really allows us to more accurately diagnose skin cancers. This is the request form for borrowing a SCLIP that I alluded to. These are more pictures. Apologize. This is the confocal microscope. These are images generated with a confocal microscope. These sort of bright cells that I'm circling with my pointer are the melanoma cells here, and those are not typical. This is the world's smallest skin cancer that Dr. Witkowski identified, and we're currently writing up. It's tiny. I'm going to skip over some of this stuff. I'm going to talk about, we just finished up a clinical trial with a company looking at some skin fluorescent imaging called Orlucent. And then just as a note, we've done some collaborations with skin cancer prevention as well. So this doesn't parallel imaging, but basically we just finished a study that shows that clothing actually outperforms sunscreen. And so this is a quick graph of the wavelengths of sunlight that are dangerous, the ultraviolet wavelengths here on the x-axis. On the y-axis, this is the amount of that UV radiation that these media are letting through. Green lines are SPF 30 sunscreen. Blue lines are SPF 50 sunscreen. You can see that, you know, SPF 50 works a little bit better than 30. These are two application densities. So like the 1 milligram per centimeter square is real world versus 2 milligram per centimeter square is what the FDA actually recommends. And then these are 4 fabrics that we tested. So it basically shows that wherever you can put clothing, especially the specific UV protective clothing that's designed to be out in the sun, performs better than sunscreen. That, you know, doesn't mean don't use sunscreen, but the really important take home is put sunscreen, you know, wherever your skin is not able to be covered by UV protected clothing. So how to participate, these are some of our clinical trials here at the OHSU unit, and you got information about the SCLIP. So I apologize, that was a true whirlwind. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Perfect. And I have a question that I think is really important, and it kind of dovetails into a lot of this stuff. And hopefully you can touch upon it briefly, or Sansi could jump in. It says, it seems really difficult to get in to see a dermatologist. What options are there if you have moles that you are scared about, and you're being told it's going to be, you know, months and months and months until you can be seen?
Do you want me to take that, Liz, or do you want to do it?
I mean, I can start with it, and you can take it home. So
okay.
We've got a really nice, you know, number one, you can show it to your primary care doctor. We're hoping that our curriculum to educate primary care doctors on what to worry about will help improve their ability to say, yes, we're worried about this, or no. The other option, if you're having trouble getting in with your primary care doctor or they're not comfortable with with doing skin exams, is to do what's called an e-visit with OHSU. So if you go to the MyChart landing page, there's an option to do an actual electronic visit with dermatology where you can take a photo and upload it. And so that's a virtual spot check. And what really helps is if you're able to request one of these SCLIP devices through our website. That gets sent to you, you take your photos, you mail your SCLIP back, and you submit your photos through the consult.
Yeah, so, and that's available to anybody, whether, you know, whether you're part of the OHSU system or not. We've made it available to people because, you know, there may be people in the rural areas that have the access problem. There is no dermatologist there. And so you can do that through an e-visit. Virtual spot check is what I think it's called. Just go to the OHSU website, virtual spot check. Okay, so this is great. I think how much time do we have for questions? Can we combine any other questions with any other group before we go to the advocacy as the last, right?
I think we're back on schedule a little bit, so I appreciate the brevity of there. There is another question that was submitted beforehand that just asks for what are the difference in recommendations for follow-up or for screening if someone is a survivor or at higher risk for a melanoma versus the lay person.
The difference in the follow-up recommendations for someone who's high risk?
Or how you would recommend them seeking care or sort
right.
of staying on top of their care.
Well, so obviously, I think each person is an individual, right? So one thing to remember is that there's going to be individualized recommendations from your provider. And your provider is going to hopefully take into consideration your family history, your personal history, your level of sun exposure, the type of skin and hair and eyes you have, all of the different factors that that make you and give you the certain level of risk that you have. And so then they should tailor their follow-up with you based on the level of risk that you have. So if you're a very high risk person who's maybe you've already had 2 melanomas and you've got a family history of melanoma and you've got a whole bunch of moles that are difficult to follow, they may want to see you every 3 to 6 months, right? And somebody may want to do photographs and follow you with photographs and things like that. But if you've never had a melanoma, you've never had any family members with any sort of skin cancer, you've got darkly pigmented skin, you've got you know, very little risk, then it may be that what they want to do is do a tailored exam on you either once a year or make sure that you've got pictures that they can follow and update or all kinds of outreach for being screened by your PCP. And so I hope that helps. The range is usually for people who have had a melanoma for the rest of your life, you need to be seen at least once a year. And many times providers will like to see you more than once a year for the first couple or 3 years outside after you've had your melanoma, up to as much as 6 years after you've had a melanoma. So I don't know. I hope that it's a lot to try to go through with, you know, without details, without the specifics. So it does need to be tailored to you.
I think that's perfect.
Okay.
And then we will move on to our last individual group.
So yeah, let me share again, because I want to do this as the introduction. Let's see here. So here we go. That was for the skin crew. Okay, so I wrapped this up today, the final presentation, other than the outro, which we'll do in a minute, with our patient advocacy group. And this is a photo that was done by one of our residents during one of a project that she did called the SCAR Project, where she looked at patients that had developed scars from melanoma surgeries and how that impacted them. And they all gave us quotes. And I love this quote and this picture. Together, we can eliminate melanoma as a cause of death. And so I just want to bring it home at the end with our big point, which is that the reason we're doing all of this, all of these different areas, all the work, all the different people that have been involved, it's for death. It's to prevent melanoma as a cause of death. That's what we want to do. And so I'm going to have two of our patient advocates, Sam Gill, who's president of AIM at Melanoma, and also Robin Zimmerman, who is the coordinator of the Portland, Oregon Steps Against Melanoma and also a member of Soul Survivors. And I want to turn it over to them. I will stop sharing now, but I want to turn it over to them to wrap us up with some patient advocacy.
So Robin, as you put up the screen, I will go ahead and start. So Sansi, thank you so much for including us as part of this program. I really always love working with you and your team. So my name is Sam Guild. I am the president of AIM at Melanoma. So I just want to briefly share with you why I got involved. I did not join this world voluntarily. My sister in 2003 was 26 when she passed away from melanoma. And my mother decided, there was not a lot available for patients and families who are, dealing with this disease. And so she started this foundation and is now the largest international melanoma organization. Robin, do you need help or do you want me to just?
Is it showing?
No, I don't see it.
Oh.
Well, I'm just going to keep going because I think I know my next slide, if that's okay.
You don't see your slides?
I don't see it.
Oh, hit share, but hit share again.
Okay.
Share.
So, well, I'm going to keep going. That's okay, because what I wanted to do is share with you some of the things that we are doing.
Now is it showing?
Nope.
It is now. Yep.
Oh.
Okay.
Yep, it's just a little delayed. It's showing now.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, if you want to go to the next slide.
Done.
Oh, there we go. Okay, next one.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Robin. So I just wanted to share with you some of the things that we are offering you and everyone else so that together we can end melanoma in our lifetimes. So I indicated to you there was not a lot available when my sister was sick. And so here are some of the resources that we currently offer on our website. And again, it's just a small sliver of some of the things that we can do to help support you. So for if you are on treatment, there are system and side effect management resource guides. These guides for each of the treatment options helps you recognize and manage the side effects of treatment. There's a video library of past symposium and events, including everything from prevention, early detection, different treatment options, to supporting your emotional needs, pathology reports, etc. Hope is always important. More and more people are living with the melanoma diagnosis for many years out, and we want to make sure their voices are being heard. So we share survivor stories, melanoma clinical trials matching service, peer-to-peer support program. We are matching newly diagnosed melanoma patients and families with veterans who have been through this already. Provide a comprehensive list of helpful organizations. We have our Steps Against Melanoma walks, which Robin's going to share more about and the work that he is doing. We have lots of opportunities. We cannot do this alone. I think this last hour and a plus has shown us that we need to all work together to end melanoma. And then there's also our Ask a Medical Expert. So we have a physician assistant that we offer. There's no charge. Somebody asked earlier about how do you know how often you should be screened at your dermatologist? Questions like that, you can call her up and she can talk to you about the basic guidelines, gives you lots of questions that you can go back and talk to your physician about to decide what is best for you. So without any further delay, Robin, it is always such a great honor to work with you, and I look forward to hearing you talk about the work you're doing.
Okay. I'm Robin Zimmerman. 2004, my wife was diagnosed with melanoma. It was metastasized pretty early on, and she passed away in 2008. During the time as a caregiver, I became self-educating on what was going on because, frankly, when she was first diagnosed, we actually said, oh, well, at least it's only skin cancer. Advocacy is personal. It's driven by your personal experiences, and that's going to drive how you deal with it. It's going to be dependent on your geography, your comfort level, whether you're an introvert or extrovert, your skill level on what you're able to do. Of course, the longer you do this, the more your skills increase. Now, the reasons I advocate, it started with family. You know, my first thought was I need to protect the family. If their mother got skin cancer and I had skin cancer as well later on, I caught mine early because I knew to look for it. So worked on awareness, and then built on that and started advocating and helping fundraise for research, like with the walk we did on Saturday. Of course, I had one other selfish reason, which I learned quickly, was the act of advocating was helpful for my grief. It made a big difference on how I dealt with my loss and helped me deal with my family with my loss. So how to do it, start simple. You'll see the little flyer on the right. That was my earliest effort. My daughter, she was good with word on high school, and so she helped me create these flyers at first before I even knew about the AIM walks, and was just posting them around town in my local rural town that I live out here in Yamhill County. So that's how I started. I wanted to make sure at least people were aware. So I did it the first weekend of May with Melanoma Monday, start of the summer season. Then you eventually connect with others. You start building a group, or you start building connections, and you learn more. And then eventually I found the organization AIM. Work with AIM at Melanoma. First, I was just a volunteer, and now this is the 11th year. This was the 11th year. So now I've spent time being the coordinator of it, and have learned a lot in that process as well. This is my first time really organizing the live walk, so I imagine we'll do better next year, improve on that. And here's how you can visit aim@melanoma.org. If you're in another area, you can organize a walk in your area. Ours is in Portland. I'd love to have one and see one in Southern Oregon, maybe in the Medford area, Klamath Falls, or out towards Bend again. Even have a coordinated sister walk. Through AIM, you can, like I said, the survivor stories, peer support. Like I said, and there's the website down there, so you can contact any of us if you want to do that. Oh, I stopped sharing now.
I think if you go to the top of your screen, it looks like you've got.
Yeah, I had to get back to the top of the screen. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so there was a submitted question. I guess it could be for either of you. Just kind of asked generally, what are some of the big accomplishments that you could or would like to share from some of your advocate or volunteer efforts?
Sometimes it's that personal. It's not the big things. It's like you ran into that one person that you say, like Nadia. You see that one person, you tell them, "Hey, you should get that spot checked out." And later on, they get it checked out, and they found it was a melanoma, and it was removed early. I mean, it's those personal interactions that stay with you for the rest of your life.
And just briefly, Sam, do you want to share some of AIM's big success stories?
Sure. Well, I will certainly I'll start with the small things, which really to me are probably the big things personally. So even though a lot of the stuff that I do is 30,000 feet high, I still really enjoy working directly with the patients and even being able to take a call. Sometimes I have a patient, for example, outside of the US whose son is having difficulty getting treatment. And just being able to help him navigate and the family navigate some of this and figure out what some of the options are, to me, are really the most touching and most important moments of the work I do. In the big picture, it's something I'm actually working with you guys on, and that's the Fresh Frozen Primary Tissue Bank. And I say all of you because, Rob and the work that you are doing with the walk helped raises money for that tissue bank. And so we are collecting that tissue and we want to open it up to researchers. And we believe that a lot of the questions that are still out there that need to be answered about who's at high risk, which treatment options should people be on, what are the biomarkers that are so important in this disease, those are the things that we hope to accomplish. And so I am just so grateful. And I should say it's the inspiration for really why we started it, this foundation. My mother wanted to see that multi-site tissue bank opened, and it is opened. One of them is at OHSU, and I'm happy she had an opportunity to see them opened. We are collecting tissue, and one of these days, that tissue bank, I believe, is going to give us answers that we need to these really pressing questions.
Well, thank you so much. I think that ends kind of our what we would call didactics, our presentations. Like I put in the chat before, but we understand this is a high-level overview of a lot of different things, and we'd never expect everyone to be able to keep all of these asks together. But we're going to circle back around with sort of like a summation email with all of these different projects and the calls to actions with links and pertinent information to help you guys sort of navigate the things that you've heard today and that you're interested in learning more or doing more. And hopefully it'll all just be in one place as well as a way to reach out with us, reach out to us for questions.
I have a few wrap-up slides, though, Patrick. I think we have to 1:30, right? We're not quite there.
Well, right? We still have to do the raffle, and I have a few. If you want to do some more.
Okay, I want to go through this, okay, because I want to be really clear about my ask, and my ask doesn't involve any money. I am not asking anybody to contribute any money, right? This is you. This is what I need, hopefully, from all of you guys to help us, because the fact is that there are people out there right now that you know that when we look at people that come in for a general screening, about 1 out of 100, sometimes 2 out of 100 have a melanoma on their body. They do. That's the rate that we see in Oregon. So absolutely, you know someone right now that has a melanoma on their body, and the question is, are they going to catch it early enough to be alive in 5 years, or are they not? And you could have the ability, if you tell them to look at their skin, and if they see something, get it checked. That could save somebody that you know from the tragedy of melanoma. So my ask is, first, before August 1st, how can you help us to get our message out to the people that you love and care for, your family, your friends, your community? Second, view and share our social media across those groups of people that you love. Third, put up a flyer in your office, in your business, in your apartment building, anywhere that you think that somebody's going to have a chance to see it that might have a melanoma. Be an influencer for us, right? You are an influencer. You have your own influential group. Bring it up on your social media. Bring it up to your civic events, your churches, your schools, your gyms, your clubs, your grocery stores. See where you can get that message out. You don't know who you're going to save. And any other ideas that you may have, please bring our way. We are open to new ideas and ways to reach out. And here I'm just going to quickly go through and show you the amount of community support that we've had to create this program. It includes all sorts of different institutions, community outreach programs, big data, statistics, all of Oregon survey. I mean, all of these people. I don't have time to go through all of them because I want to get to the raffle. But we have people from all over the country, all over the world that have helped us. And I really appreciate your support more than I can say. We need your help to make it happen. And I want to leave it one last thing, that one person that didn't get to speak today was Liz Stews. And Liz is really the person who has really coordinated this more than just about anybody else. And so Liz, I just want to thank you as well and make that a call out. So now, Patrick, now I will stop sharing, and you can take it from here and bring it home.
Perfect. Easy to bring it home when you have free things to give out. So what we have effectively are two different Elta MD sunscreen packages. So we have a quote unquote small package, which you see on the left, and a larger package on the right. These are one of the sunscreens that are favorites around here, that are all broad spectrum, SPF over 30, and are primarily zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, so the things that we look for in sunscreens. So I have this goofy little wheel that will go ahead and spin. It has everybody who registered for the conference on here. So what I'm going to do is, we don't have time to do if you're here. I'm going to spin it, and I'll send emails out to all of the winners. And if they don't respond, then I'll spin it again. And so keep on the lookout for your email, not just for our follow-up email from this event, but also to see if you won any of our prizes. So here we go. So this is going to be for one of our small Elta MD sunscreen packages. Marvel Bramwell. All right. The second sunscreen package is Bonnie Cotter. All right, now on to our large sunscreen packages. Deborah Warner. Got two more here. Anne Hutchinson. And for our last one here, Peter Bulger. So congratulations to those that were selected and are here. If I can't get a hold of these, again, I'll reach back out. And then right before the very last thing, I just wanted to bring my PowerPoint back up just to give some acknowledgments out to Elta MD, AIM at Melanoma Foundation. We're working with a lot of organizations around to try and amplify our messaging that we're putting out, like Portland Gear. And then we also have the sunscreen code for 30% off Get Mister 3-in-1 sunscreen product for specifically designed for men as well, which is kind of cool. So again, thanks for joining us. Be on the lookout for our emails that are going to be coming, and for our public health campaign and materials that hopefully you see out in the wild. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day, and we finished on time. It's a miracle.
And if you have questions, we're always accessible via the War on Melanoma email too, the email for War on Melanoma. So we'll get back to you if you have other questions that didn't get answered. We want to answer them all, really. Thank you, guys. This was fun. Thanks to everybody who helped put it on. I really appreciate your help.